going to talk about my 10 favorite songs from Van Halen. There'll be timestamps in the description that you can navigate through the video that way. And I've done other videos for bands with their top 10 songs. I'll have a playlist in the description as well if you want to see that. Van Halen was formed in the 70s in California, in Southern California, in Pasadena specifically, which is northern LA County. It was initially David Lee Roth, very bombastic frontman, brothers Eddie and Alex Van Halen on guitar and drums, and then Michael Anthony playing bass. The stars of Van Halen really were David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen. Those guys are very well known in the world. In the music world, Alex Van Halen, the drummer, and Michael Anthony are known. But in popular culture, those guys are not as, I don't think, as popular, but very great drummer, very great bass player, very underrated people. They started making albums. Their first album was in 1978, and then they made albums with David Lee Roth through the 80s. David Lee Roth left in 1984. I'm going to only do the David Lee Roth era of Van Halen for this. Sammy Hagar did join the band later. They had other singers too, but he was the main guy, and I think that deserves a whole separate top 10 list. David Lee Roth did come back briefly in the 2000s for different things here and there. Spoiler alert, none of the top 10 songs are not from the early days. I did listen to the other stuff too, but the early days is what I liked the most. It was my top 10 favorite. There were 7 albums, studio albums with David Lee Roth. There was a live album they did later on in their career in one of the later stints where he came back. I think it was in Tokyo. Then there's a few compilations, like 3 or 4 compilations. Most of the compilations aren't just one singer, they're kind of the whole band. So listening to all the David Lee Roth stuff, going to go through what I like the most, what I think are the best songs, and why. Girl Gone Bad from 1984, the name of the record and the year it came out. This has one of the coolest, to me, intros. A lot of people think of the Hot for Teacher intro. I think the intro to this is better. Instead of the drums the way they're doing in Hot for Teacher, this has more cymbals than toms, I feel like. And there's a really cool tapped harmonic intro that Eddie's doing. It's a very fast song. It almost reminds me of like a prog rock song. Dream Theater, a very prog rock band on their first album, has a song called Fortune and Lies. And this sounds very much like that Fortune and Lies song to me. Dream Theater probably, took some of this for their song. I think this came out first. It's a sleeper, overlooked Van Halen song to me. I don't know why this wasn't a bigger hit. It's very risque with the lyrics. A lot of Van Halen songs are very risque, but this is very, very risque. Maybe that's part of, what happened with it. It was towards the end of the days of the David Lee Roth era. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But all the members were on fire on this song. Again, it's to me very Hot for Teacher, but a better version, a better, cooler song that does a lot of what Hot for Teacher does. Cathedral from 1982 on Diver Down. I like this song so much better than Eruption. This is such a cool guitar solo, song to me. Van Halen has a few of them actually outside of Eruption and this, but I think this is the best. The initial part always sounded to me more like Imagine from John Lennon a little bit. I don't know if it's the same chords or not, but it sounds very similar, I always thought. He's doing these volume swells where he's using his hand to like roll down and up the volume on the guitar to get a major part of the effect. He's tapping on the guitar while he's doing that. I think that's really cool. You can hear all the little inflections and all the little imperfections, so to speak, of how he's doing it. And it's not recorded like uber perfectly. Sounds like an alien like calling out or something. It's very strange, unique noise, but it's also very beautiful. Buckethead, who's a more modern virtuosic guitar player, played in Guns N' Roses for a while, wears a KFC bucket on his head. He plays stuff like this all the time. It's really neat. He's combining a lot of different guitar techniques, something that people weren't doing really at the time. It's another reason Eddie was kind of an inventor and the first guy to do a lot of this cool stuff. There's songs later that came, like Midnight from Joe Satriani, that give me this kind of vibe. But I think this was one of the original ones doing this, and I think it's awesome. Little Guitars from 1982 on Diver Down. This song has a super cool drum intro. I always thought it sounded like the Bullet the Blue Sky drum intro from U2 a little bit. The guitar, something about the tone on this guitar when I first heard it when I was younger, and I didn't know that Little Guitars, the name of the song actually is, he's playing this tiny little guitar. Eddie's known for what's called the Brown sound, and this was just different. And he's actually playing a mini guitar. It's almost like a ukulele, kind of sort of sized, but if it was a legit full-on guitar, it's not a ukulele. This was made specifically for him by somebody, I think. They showed up and like gave it to him, and he wrote a song with it. I don't know that there's any other Van Halen songs that have this strange guitar that's used. Eddie is known for using a phaser effect, which is kind of like a long swirl. It makes it sound like it's swirling, and you can make it go faster or slower, but it is pretty smooth. And I think this song has a flanger, which is a little bit more whacked out kind of phaser sound. It's harder to describe. It has that same kind of typical sound, but it's a little bit more out there, a little bit more wild. Dave singing to a sexy senorita. He's saying catch as catch. Every time when I was a kid, I thought he was saying etch a sketch the whole time. Etch a sketch, etch a sketch. I thought they were like drawing this girl on an etch a sketch. I didn't understand. Has a very dreamy, psychedelic, almost Dreamweaver kind of vibe as part of it. The guitar, it's a lot of finger picking. They call it chicken picking. Just a super cool song. Again, I think an underrated Van Halen song, at least today. At the time, it probably was good, but I wasn't around at the time. I'm around today, and today I think it's overlooked. Everybody Wants Some from 1980 off of a Women and Children First. This was a B-side to And the Cradle Will Rock, and this is, to me, just such a cool song. Has a very unique, dreamy intro. I think I first heard this song, or what I remember hearing this song first, is from the Better Off Dead movie. There's a really weird, when they're in like this fast food restaurant, like clay animation scene. It has this song, it fits really well. There's almost a little bit of like a sloppy vibe to this song, but it's cool. It's really cool. It's not bad sloppy. I don't know what the hell a moonbeam is they're singing about. I don't know what it's like to be lost in a jet stream. I don't understand what any of that means, but I don't care. It's awesome. Dave's yelling out. He's doing his, his weird kind of yeah screams that are super high pitched, his yells. I can't even try to recreate those. That's a lot in this song. He's talking super seductively in the bridge. I love the, no, don't take it off, leave them on, all that stuff. Heard this song when I was a kid. I didn't know what any of it meant. I just thought it sounded cool. I know what it means now. It's got one of the simplest guitar solos in a popular Van Halen song, which is, I think, cool. Just a unique, different song from them that I thought was awesome. Panama from 1984, which was a single off the album 1984. This actually is a song about a car. If you don't know what Panama's about, it doesn't really make a lot of sense with the name of the song and some of the lyrics. It is about a car. It's got a very iconic guitar intro, one of their bigger hits. Sounds super cool with like the whammy bar and the slide. Then the whole band comes in. I mean, the band's playing in the beginning, but the guitar is really what's featured more. I love the bridge part, another kind of strange bridge where Dave's talking and doing, weird stuff. The guitar, how it kind of calms down and then it kind of hits in as he hits in. It's a really awesome build-up, one of the best bridges I think of all time. The chorus, I'm pretty sure the chorus is just Panama. Like if you looked at like where you would note the chorus starts and stop, I think isn't most of the chorus him saying Panama and just one word? How many songs have a one-word chorus? There's all the other stuff he's saying, but I think that's like pre or post-chorus, really. Just a cool song. Again, as a kid, hearing the bridge and talking about, as I reach down between my legs and ease the seat back and all that, I actually did think it was about a car. And then as I got older, I'm like, is this about a car? But the song, I think, is about a car. So maybe the most popular Van Halen song on this list. Maybe the next one is the most popular, but this is one of the biggest hits I have, at least, that I think is one of their best songs. Ain't Talking About Love from the original Van Halen album in 1978. This was a single. This was a huge hit. This or Panama, I'm not sure which was a bigger hit maybe, but those are the two biggest hits I think on this list. Super, super iconic guitar intro. The tone, what he's playing in that Ain't Talking About Love intro. I mean, it's one of the most well-known. Super, super attitude in this song. Van Halen is an attitude band, but this is one of the songs that has one of the most attitudes to me. It's not a strange song. A lot of these songs I have on this list, there's something unique or different about them compared to a lot of popular songs. This is a pretty straightforward song, especially for Van Halen. The bridge is cool. I like the bridge a lot. It's a unique part of the song. It is something that is not super intimidating on the guitar. So I play guitar, and this is a song I can actually play pretty much all of. Not very many Van Halen songs I can play that. I can say that about. I can play the whole song. This is a song that when they did have Sammy Hagar in the band and they played live, he would very rarely play early Van Halen songs. He would often do this. So it's an awesome, awesome, cool song. One of their biggest hits for a reason, and the guitar tone, all the different parts about it for being a very simple song and very straightforward song, which isn't what I gravitate towards usually. It was a huge hit for a reason, and that's the reasons I like it. Beautiful Ghost from Van Halen 2, 1979. This was a single as well. Whenever I hear this song, it makes me think of Joe Satriani. Something about Joe Satriani's playing reminds me of stuff in this song. There's, you know, like an ascending lick where the guitar is going up and the bass is going up. The bass plays a whole bunch of really cool licks that you can hear. The bass isn't featured as playing really tasty stuff. It's usually in the background just holding it down for Eddie to do his crazy thing. But the bass really does shine with the licks they do in this. I always love, there's a lot of storyteller type songs, but I love the storytelling kind of vibe to the song that David Lee Roth does. I think that's super cool. It's a very professionally sang song from David Lee Roth, especially in the chorus. He can be a little bombastic and out there, but I feel like he's a little more reserved and a little more professional in this song. There's a very short-lived guitar solo, but it fits how it comes back around after the guitar solo and the bridge parts, like all that's awesome. The pre-chorus, how it sets up the hook is super cool. I love the extended outro where they're doing the, you know, oh yeah, beautiful girls, and they keep doing that part. Dave gets to get a little bit more, you know, bombastic there for being so much calmer earlier. So really cool Van Halen song. I think at this point on their second album, this was kind of taking all the different stuff that they were doing really well and molding it into, you know, at that time, I think was one of their best songs. Ice Cream Man from 1978 on Van Halen's first self-titled record. I mean, this is a cover, but they really made it their own. Van Halen did a lot of covers early on that they made their own, but this Ice Cream Man song is so cool. It wasn't a song that people knew that well, like, you know, You Really Got Me or Pretty Woman. So I don't know how many people knew it was a cover. It's acoustic, at least in the intro. Very, very cool, you know, unique, moving bass line, fast acoustic intro. The way the band kicks in this song is super cool. The guitar solo to me reminds me of Eruption. People know Eruption. Well, this is kind of an Eruption style guitar solo, I think. It's super, super shreddy, but it's also super melodic and fixed. It's not just shreddy to be shreddy. I've heard David Lee Roth say that Eddie would go and play a bunch of different stuff, and the solos you actually hear often aren't like one solo. They're like a bunch of different solos he just kind of chopped up and put together. I have no idea if that's true. He said it on Howard Stern one time. But this doesn't sound like that to me. This sounds like a very like melodic, thought through solo. It fits the song super, super well. I love the walk down style outro. So just a very, very unique song. If you need something to keep you cool, go check out Ice Cream Man from Van Halen. Feel Your Love from 1978 on Van Halen's debut record. This song always, to me, it gave me vibes of like Life in the Fast Lane from the Eagles, and that it's a very cool intro riff and it's very driving. That intro riff kind of makes you want to start going. I believe you would call this song like a boogie or a shuffle type of beat. The pre-chorus, the bass that's sliding up in the pre-chorus, that part is so cool. When they're all singing together, Van Halen does a lot of singing together, but I'm begging you, baby, begging on my hands and my knees. I actually don't know if those are the exact words, something like that, but you know, I know it's begging you, baby. Awesome, awesome song. If you don't know Feel Your Love Tonight, just go listen to it. I don't think it's a super complicated or crazy Van Halen song. I think it's actually a pretty simple song, but it's from the early stuff and it just makes you want to get out there and move. I think it's a great, great song. Spoiler alert, number one is next, and I think that this song is almost the polar opposite of number one. I'll Wait from 1984 on the 1984 album. I always knew when I first heard Van Halen, really discovered them as a kid, there was something different about this song. I didn't know what it was. I usually gravitate towards the songs that are a little different for whatever reason. And what makes this song, I think, different, I know now as an adult and being more into music, is Michael McDonald was a big part of this song. I think he wrote it. I don't know if he played the organ, but maybe, you know, he wrote part of it for sure, at least. So that organ intro, the Michael McDonald influence, it gives this song such a different tone and vibe to me than most Van Halen songs. There's this just thumping bass intro. I don't know if it's actually a real bass or not. It sounds like it could almost be a synth. I still don't know today if that was real. The tom drums, before the vocals come in, how he hits those and goes, oh man, just so great. Very serious, you know, more professional vocal delivery, again, from David Lee Roth, where he can be bombastic more in a lot of his songs. He has little parts like Such Good Photography, where he gets to do like his little bombastic parts, but that's about as crazy as he gets. Again, a very limited guitar solo. Eddie is known as being a ripper, but he could be clean and kind of calm when he needed to be. This is just a different Van Halen. It's just something about it was just so different to me. The solo, to me, it felt like it could be the Beat It solo if it had more of a slow halftime feel. Just the vibe and the slower, again, halftime nature, I guess, of this, the Michael McDonald influence. I'm surprised Michael McDonald can write all these songs when he's always forgetting everything, you know? But he did, and he wrote and helped write what I think is the best Van Halen song there is.